Hello there, everyone. Hello, welcome one, welcome all, to the Jordo the Gordo Q&A. As some of you guys may be aware, I talked about doing this Q&A very recently, I think it was 2 days ago as of recording this video. And I was like, hey, yo, I haven't done obviously, as a lot of you guys know, if you tuned into my live streams that I was doing for 3 months straight, I did Q&A style things at the beginning of all those streams. So in a technical sense, there has been quite a lot of Q&As. However, I want to have a proper video form one again, because we haven't had a proper video form Q&A within maybe a year and a half to 2 years, which is crazy. So I don't plan to really get back into a weird frequent thing with it. It used to be kind of a frequent thing. That's not how this is going to work, but just the occasional one. So I have 6 questions that I've come prepared with. I've come prepared with 6 questions that you guys have asked me and that I will be here to answer. So without further ado, let's get have you ever considered streaming on Twitch? So for a good while during my little frenzy of hating what I was doing on YouTube, as a lot of you guys know, I was doing streaming, almost just streaming exclusively, rather than making videos. And during that period of time, there was a point in time where, when I was feeling there wasn't really much more I could do with the channel, my initial plan was I was going to possibly move away from the YouTube platform and actually do stuff with Twitch. I think one of the things that drew me away from that the most, though, is it's kind of one of those things where I'm aware of the fact that I have an audience here. I have more of an accessible audience here, which isn't to say that because of that reason, moving to Twitch would be a bad idea. It just, to me, more or less means that to some people, it wouldn't be less people are interested. It's more of some people just wouldn't know. You know what I mean? I feel like it's more of an awareness thing where not a lot of people would actually know about it. But to answer that question very simply put, I know I extend these things out a lot, but yes, I have considered streaming on Twitch before. We got an interesting one on our hands here, boys. I didn't realize you were still in high school. Your videos are very well made. Does being a YouTuber in high school make any weird interactions between you and your fellow students? Some of your videos have a lot of views, so there's a good chance people at your school have seen them. This is actually a question that's really interesting to me, and honestly, it's probably one of the most out there questions, so I commend you for it. And I think naturally with a lot of YouTubers around my age who have blown up in some capacity. I know for me, I probably haven't blown up as much as some people have, but again, it's still to a notable factor. There's a noticeable point, and it's to a point where people at my school can genuinely end up finding me. And I don't think that it hasn't made any of the interactions weird. And I'm not in a situation where everyone in the school knows about me because of my videos. I'm not in that kind of situation. In fact, I'm still about as well known in school as I was prior to me blowing up. I mean, just a lot more of my friends pointed out to me that they happened to stumble across my Me Channel Corruptions video. However, what's really interesting to point out, and this is what I find kind of weird, some of you guys may or may not be aware, but I think this was maybe a year ago, I was actually put into a Perfectly Cut Screams compilation. As a joke, I submitted if you guys are familiar with the Perfectly Cut Screams Twitter account, I submitted just a random Perfectly Cut Scream thing as a joke. Wasn't really actually intending for it to appear on that Twitter. However, it didn't appear on that Twitter, but it appeared in a really popular channel's Perfectly Cut Screams compilation. And that compilation has around 2 million views now. And I think that was what a lot of people came to me and be like, dude, do you realize you're in this? Like a lot of people at my school, especially people who knew me, came to me like, dude, you made it. And I'm like, I guess I did. And I didn't know about it until someone pointed it out to me. So I just thought that was really interesting. But yeah, it hasn't made any weird interactions. Of course, there has been certain interactions revolving around the popularity that I have reached within the YouTube community. But there has never been any weird interactions, never any awkward interactions, if that makes any sense. Are you making a second channel similar to Alpharad Plus, but reversed, where you put more of your old editing style instead of the long play style? This is an interesting question, and I kind of see where this is coming from. Again, for those who don't know, my current gameplay style is, or like how I style gameplay videos and all that, it's very heavily based off of Alpharad Plus, who is probably one of my favorite channels here on the platform, period. And it's, to put it simply, a lot of the reason that he's, that channel is one of my favorites, especially given that it's a second channel. It's a second channel. You don't typically like the second channels more. But it's just very raw, personality-wise, very unedited, very chill. And I'm kind of known as the guy who screams a lot. I'm known as a very hyper, just scream all over the place type of guy. And while I am known IRL for having quite a burst of energy, in terms of being able to push out jokes and stuff, I don't do a lot of the whole screaming thing. Like, I just don't do that, there's a lot of how I used to act in my older style of videos that, in a way, was pretty much only done for a bit. And while I can look back on these videos that I did do with this style and enjoy them for the comedy that's in them, I do not have any plans to go back or, incorporate any of that style further. I don't really plan to do it. And I think a lot of it's just because me doing that style doesn't feel like me. You know what I mean? This style that I'm doing right now, and of course this video might be a little bit more edited, just because it's a Q&A, I gotta organize it. But, I think just the general really chill style, just, for me, it makes doing what I'm doing right now so much fun. Which, back at the time when I was working on all the heavily edited videos, I didn't feel that. So, yeah, I don't have any plans to do it just for my own sake, and just because I feel like the way I'm doing things right now has made YouTube so much fun. Favorite artist / song right now? So this is a question that I think I might have answered in a previous literal video Q&A. However, of course, because it's a right now situation, of course, he understands that things could have changed, which is why I believe I've answered this question several times. I hate to inform you, though, that nothing has changed. If you have heard my previous comments about who my favorite artist is, my favorite artist is still Slipknot. Slipknot as a band is absolutely incredible. They've been an absolutely influential band to metal music, and it's, there's just something so crazy about them. Again, they started in kind of that weird genre of just who are these guys, but now, especially after growing out of the stuff that they were, kind of niched in, and they were branching out, especially with, not just making them so focused on heavy stuff, and more now they're, they're letting themselves be both heavy and melodic. It's great. They've evolved into something amazing, and after 20 years, it's crazy that they've done as much as they have. I can't say there's a favorite song I have right now, but I will definitely say that Slipknot is by far still, to this day, my favorite artist, and I feel like for a long time that's going to be the case still. Are you still wanting to be a therapist? So this is an interesting question, because I want to clarify this. It's a yes and a no. The reason I say this is because within recent months, I have done a bit of reflecting on myself. And this was, I think part of the reason that I went through this whole reflecting process was because of how unhappy I was with my with YouTube and everything. And it just kind of led, especially with, I didn't have anything else to do. I haven't been in school for 6 months. And, my YouTube was falling apart. Thankfully it's not now, but, I did a bit of reflecting, and something I realized about myself was that I have always wanted to become very educated in anything psychology. I took a psychology class last year, and hopefully for when we go back to school, I'm going to be taking an AP psychology class. So I obviously, at the very, very bare minimum, I want to be very educated on the topic of psychology. I want to be able to learn more about human behavior and everything of the sort. But I can't say that I exactly want to be a therapist. I know what I want to do as an occupation, whether I incorporate this maybe into YouTube, if for some reason YouTube becomes a full-time thing. With how I feel about it now, I said before that I wouldn't even have thought in the slightest about doing YouTube full-time, but now with how much I enjoy it, if I can do it the way I'm doing it right now, without any pressure, hey, I'd be willing to do it full time. But that's off topic. I want to help out people. I still want to be able to be there as a means for support, and be able to just help out. And you know what? For me, it's one of those things where even if it doesn't become a job that I'm doing this in, there's one thing that I remember saying on a live stream when I discussed this, when I was in a really conflicting mental state. And I remember saying, after I realized what I wanted to do, the one thing I held myself to was that if I can't live a life where I'm able to help people who are struggling, I don't want to live it at all. That's my motto. And when I say that, I don't mean, that doesn't just mean, oh, I have to be a therapist to make that work. I could do something as simple as just helping out some of my friends who are struggling. For me, that is one of the most satisfying, one of the best things that I've ever felt. Like, anytime I help out someone, I feel so happy. It's crazy. I don't want to drag this question on too long, but I knew when I picked out this question, this was going to be an important one. Because I've said a lot of the time that I wanted to be a therapist, and especially with recent developments of my feelings, I can definitely say I want to do something related to pushing out messages to help, in some way, shape, or form. I did talk about how I wanted to do more charity stuff here on the channel, which unfortunately got a little bit halted because the day before I was going to do a charity event, my power went out for a couple days, and my internet was gone for a week and a half. So the charity event kind of flopped, but I think now that I'm in such a better state with what I'm doing, I think now I can actually go into the idea of doing a charity event bigger or better. So there's the answer to that question. I dragged it on for quite a bit, but again, it was important to me. You've probably answered this before, but what inspired you to create music? So when it comes to a lot of my music stuff that I've done here on the channel, which I haven't really done any expanding upon anything music related until this year, because the main thing, there wasn't, I kind of want to emphasize, there's nothing really that has inspired me per se to make music. I think a lot of it has more or less come from a background in music that I have put myself in. It's not like a situation where I've come from like a family of musicians. No, I haven't done that. But I've involved myself in a lot of music. I was in band in my middle school, for all of middle school. I unfortunately, band, it just wasn't my thing, so I stopped after middle school. However, one thing that I have consistently still been doing, is choir. I'm actually, there was a year, I took a year off of choir just because, it wasn't really, I had psychology and I just wanted to get psychology out of the way. But I did, your boy can sing. Your boy can sing, so I've been doing it. I've been doing choir for like 7 years now. Choir has been such an important part in what I love about music. Again, you guys know me, I'm very big into just the heavy metal stuff. But like choir has been such an experience, and it is the one very extracurricular-esque class that I've ever taken ever since I started it in 6th grade all the way now to senior year, that I've felt like, there's a family in it. You know what I mean? Like, I've just really enjoyed what I do in there. And all around, just basically my background in music, my experience with music has been what has inspired me to come out and show you guys what I can do with music. That was all the questions for the Q&A. Woo, we did it. What a journey. What a journey. I've been recording for 17 minutes. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for all the great questions that you asked. Of course, I couldn't get to everyone, but I hit on a lot of the big ones, as a lot of you guys might have been able to tell. There was a lot of joke ones that I was wanting to answer, but also at the same time, I feel like I just wanted this Q&A to be a lot of the bigger questions. You know what I mean? A lot more about the stuff that I've maybe been doing recently, or stuff revolving around the style that I've been doing with the channel. Of course, with the recent stuff, it's been like my music stuff. And then, even more upon the recent stuff, you've just had the change on the channel, which is caused for a consistency that I can't even begin to describe how much I didn't expect it, So again, thank you guys so much. We'll probably do a Q&A here in the future at some point. I guess if you guys want to leave any questions for a future Q&A, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Don't expect a Q&A anytime soon. I'll probably end up making a announcement for whatever Q&A comes next. But yeah, bye-bye, guys. Ah! Oh, this always happens, dude. Vegas never... I'm upset.